Welcome to the Checkout Point, your quick dive into this week's e-commerce buzz with me, Alex, powered by Blicket. These 20 minutes pack the latest trends, news, and insights. Let's navigate the digital marketplace together. Ready? Let's go!
What's up, everyone? It's week 13 here on the Checkout Point by Blicket.co. And I'm Max, coming to you slightly over-caffeinated as usual, but absolutely psyched for today's lineup.
And I'm Rachel, already feeling that spring energy. And guys, can you believe Easter is just around the corner? About 3 weeks away. Plus, we're inching closer to summer. It's the perfect time to start planning those summer campaigns for your e-com stores.
Absolutely, Rachel. Speaking of planning, I just published a new blog post on our site. Check out UX Best Practices 2025. Boost conversions with cutting-edge strategies. I'm super excited to dive into that during the show.
Oh, that's thrilling. I peeked at that post, Max, and it's packed with gems as always. Can't wait to get into that with you and all our listeners.
First up on today's show, we're going to chat about that exact topic, optimizing your checkout experience. You won't believe the simple tweaks that could totally turbocharge your conversions.
Then we're jumping into a serious bit about the new U.S. regulations tightening e-commerce accountability. It's going to impact a lot, from consumer safety to how small businesses operate in big shopping seasons.
Right, and with spring sales kicking off, we've got the scoop on how these massive deals are shaping shopper behavior, which is segment 3 for today. Perfect timing as you strategize those sales.
Plus, we can't skip the trending buy now, pay later options. It's reshaping shopping habits for sure. Quite curious to see how our debate on that pans out, Max.
It'll be a lively one, Rachel. Then, shifting gears a bit to talk about SEO and brand visibility. It's not just about topping search results anymore. It's about creating a real, meaningful presence.
And speaking of innovative, next, we're discussing the latest e-commerce tools, from personalized recommendations to virtual try-ons. These innovations could be game changers for your seasonal campaigns.
Oh, and we've got the scoop on Shopify's latest moves. Stay tuned to uncover how these strategies could jazz up your Shopify experience just in time for those peak shopping seasons.
Sounds like a packed show, Max. So whether you're tuning in while prepping your Easter campaigns or just gearing up for summer, we're here to keep you informed and ahead of the curve.
Grab your coffee or tea and let's get this show rolling. Stay with us. Hey everyone, welcome back. So, today we're digging into something really cool from our own backyard. A recent blog post on our website.
That's right, Max. It's all about checkout UX best practices for 2025. I mean, who doesn't love talking about boosting e-commerce conversions, right?
Absolutely, Rachel. The checkout process is like the final boss in a video game. You need to nail it or all your hard work can just poof, disappear when customers abandon their carts.
Perfect analogy. And with Easter coming up and summer not far behind, it's the perfect time to jazz up those checkout pages. Imagine how many Easter baskets and summer accessories are going to be flying off the virtual shelves.
Definitely. So one of the key points we covered in the blog post is about simplifying the checkout process, keeping it as short and sweet as possible. Rachel, remember how we talked about removing unnecessary fields?
Oh, absolutely. Each extra field is like an extra hurdle in a race. And who wants hurdles when you're trying to sprint to the finish line? Not your customers.
Right. And another takeaway from the post, and this one's a bit of a sneak peek for our listeners, is about integrating advanced payment solutions. The simpler you make it for someone to pay, the more likely they are to complete the purchase.
Yes, and speaking of making things simpler, Max, remember the part about using visually appealing elements? Things like progress bars, or even just clearly showing item details and costs. It's kind of soothing to know exactly where you are in the process.
It really is. And tying into that, with summer campaigns on the horizon, it's a great time to think about how seasonal promotions can affect your checkout experience. Maybe adding a little summer flair or a themed discount could make the process feel even more special.
I love that idea. A little customization goes a long way. You know, we also touched on mobile optimization in the blog. I mean, with most shopping trips starting on a mobile device these days, you can't afford to drop the ball there.
Right, optimizing for mobile is huge. And, for our tech-savvy listeners, there's a section on implementing AI to personalize the shopping experience. It's like having a smart assistant who knows exactly what you need.
That's the dream, isn't it? Anyway, there's a lot more we dive into in the post. If this little teaser caught your interest, you definitely want to check out the full article. You'll find the secrets to making your checkout process smoother than ever.
Absolutely. Head over to blicket.co to read the full details. Trust us, it's packed with strategies that'll feel like, as the post says, marketing sorcery.
And let's face it, who doesn't want a little magic in their e-commerce strategy? All right, stick with us. Wait, we've got more coming up.
Okay, so here's the scoop, Rachel. The US is putting its foot down on some of the trickier sides of e-commerce. We're talking trade regulations, and get this, recall loopholes.
Wait, seriously? Recall loopholes? That sounds pretty serious, but also kind of vague. What exactly are we dealing with here?
Right, so picture this. You buy a super cool drone online, right? But then, oops, it turns out that drone has a battery that might overheat. Usually there's a system to recall products like that. But with e-commerce, the lines can get blurry on whose responsibility it is to handle these issues. The platform, the seller, or sometimes no one steps up.
Oh, I see what you're getting at. And honestly, it's kind of scary to think about. I mean, I buy almost everything online these days.
Exactly. And with the crackdown, the government's trying to make sure that no one's playing hot potato with our safety. They're stepping in to ensure there's accountability across the board.
That really brings some peace of mind. But here's what I'm wondering. How do these changes impact small business owners? Especially with Easter coming up soon and, the big push for summer campaigns around the corner?
Great point. So if you own a small e-com store, it's crunch time, right? You want to roll out new products for Easter and start prepping for summer. But now, there's this added layer of making sure everything is compliant with these new guidelines.
I was just thinking about that. My cousin runs an online shop selling handmade candles and soaps, and she's always fretting about compliance and safety standards. It can be overwhelming, especially when you're small scale.
Totally, it's a lot to juggle. But here's the upside. Staying on top of these things not only improves customer trust, but can actually be a game changer in how small businesses build their reputation. Remember, with great power comes great responsibility.
Oh, pulling out the Spider-Man quotes, are we? But you're spot on. It's about creating a safe shopping environment, which really is key to customer loyalty.
You bet. And for any of our listeners running their shops, this is the time to dive into those policy updates. Make them your bedtime reading, maybe?
Yes, and maybe double up on the coffee, too. It's a lot, but it's so important. Oh, and if anyone's listening who's got tips on navigating these new e-commerce waters, send them our way. We'd love to share your insights on a future pod.
Absolutely, sharing is caring, folks. All right, keep those updates and Easter eggs rolling out safely, everyone.
And let's not forget about gearing up for summer. It's never too early to start planning those beach-themed campaigns.
Right? Can't wait to see what awesome products pop up this season. Stay safe and compliant, and let's make it a standout summer e-com style.
Couldn't have said it better myself, Max.
So, Rachel, it's that time of the year again. The birds are chirping, flowers are blooming, and apparently retail giants are doing what they do best, throwing massive spring sales. Amazon, Walmart, eBay, you name it. They've got sales popping up like daisies.
That's a perfect analogy, Max, and it's super timely too because with Easter just around the corner, I've noticed a lot of folks are on the hunt for those early holiday deals. It's like a mini Black Friday in March.
Exactly. And, talking about Easter, I was just thinking, it's interesting how these big retailers time their sales. It's not just random. It's all strategic, gearing up for that holiday rush.
Oh, absolutely. And speaking of timing, it's almost like they've got a calendar with all our paydays and holiday plans marked, It just makes you wonder, doesn't it?
Right? If you've seen my calendar, it's pretty much a roadmap to when can Max spend his money next.
But here's what I'm wondering. With these sales starting to crop up, do you think this affects how small businesses plan their strategies? They must feel some sort of pressure when the big guys roll out the big guns.
Totally, Rachel. It's like being a little fish in a big pond. But hey, it's also a wake-up call. Small businesses can actually capitalize on this by positioning themselves as the local, more personal alternative. Instead of battling on price, they can compete on uniqueness and customer service.
That's such a good point. Makes me think about the summer campaigns, too. If you're running an e-commerce store, now's the time to start sketching out those summer plans. Beach gear, travel kits, or even eco-friendly products for those summer camping trips.
Oh, speaking of summer, remember last year? We were talking about how those inflatable pools were all the rage. It's funny how each season brings its own must-have item, huh?
Yes, and I was desperately trying to get one for my niece. Ended up joining 3 different online waiting lists. Here's to hoping this spring I'll be ahead of the curve with these early sales.
Exactly, stay ahead of the game. Now, curious though, do these sales make you want to shop more or do you stick to your original plan?
Honestly, Max, it's a bit of both. I try to shop smart, but sometimes seeing a good deal, I mean, who can resist, right? Especially if it's something I've been eyeing and then suddenly it's on sale.
You're preaching to the choir, Rachel. The thrill of catching that unexpected bargain. It's almost like a sport.
It is retail therapy mixed with a dash of adrenaline from the sale chase.
Couldn't agree more, partner. So, for all our listeners, whether you're snagging deals or strategically planning your next big purchase, happy shopping. And hey, don't forget to support your local businesses too, right?
Absolutely. Local or giants, keep those strategies sharp and happy hunting on those deals.
Max.
Rachel.
Hey, Rachel, have you heard about this buy now, pay later trend popping up everywhere?
Oh, absolutely, Max. It seems like every time I check out online, there's an option to split my payment into smaller bites. Kind of like layaway's tech-savvy cousin, right?
Exactly. I was reading up on how this whole BNPL thing is actually boosting profits for e-commerce businesses. It sounds like a game changer for both shoppers and stores.
I see what you mean, but honestly, I'm not entirely convinced. How does letting people delay payments actually increase profits?
So here's the deal. It ramps up the likelihood that someone will complete a purchase. I mean, if you're eyeing that expensive gardening set for Easter, because hey, it's coming up, and you suddenly see you can pay in parts, quite tempting, I'd say.
That's actually a really good point, Max. And with Easter shopping, I guess a lot of people are starting to think about sprucing up their gardens. Okay, you've got me a little more convinced now.
Right, and get this. Companies are betting that by making it easier to purchase, they'll not only see a spike during holidays like Easter, but even as we head into summer. The ideal time for new outdoor furnitures or travel gear.
That reminds me, wouldn't that mean more people possibly overspending? Because it feels less painful initially? Kind of like eating too much candy because it's in smaller pieces?
No way, Rachel. That's a super cool analogy. And you're onto something. There's definitely a conversation to be had about financial literacy when using BNPL. It's important that shoppers understand they'll still need to pay the full amount eventually. It's not free money.
Yeah, it's vital to grasp that concept early on. Imagine being a middle schooler getting your first debit card. It's the same principle, but with more steps.
Totally. And speaking of steps, online stores are definitely stepping up their game because of this. They've got algorithms and data tracking, not to mention targeted ads. So, when you're scrolling for those summer essentials, chances are the ads you see are no coincidence. They're tailored just for your tastes.
That's so true. It's fascinating to see tech used in such targeted ways. It can really optimize how businesses connect with us, but I guess it also makes you wonder about privacy and how much companies really know about our shopping habits.
Oh, big time. It's like they're the detectives of e-commerce, piecing together clues about what we might like to buy next.
And with Easter and summer on the horizon, Max, I'm just picturing these e-commerce gurus planning their next big campaign moves. Kind of like setting up a massive Easter egg hunt, but for hot deals instead of chocolate eggs.
Ha! Exactly, Rachel. It'll be interesting to see how these trends evolve, especially with tech innovations shaking things up. But one thing's for sure, our shopping carts and maybe our bellies will be a bit fuller.
And our wallets just a bit lighter.
Right, well, I guess that's the price we pay. But seriously, it's super cool to see how technology is changing our shopping experiences. And who knows what's next?
I'm sure whatever it is, we'll be here to chat about it. Always something new around the corner.
So, Rachel, have you noticed how the game of SEO is evolving like crazy lately? It's like every day there's a new update that shifts the whole landscape.
Absolutely, Max. And speaking of shifts, I was reading up on how the focus is moving from traditional SEO to something more holistic, like brand visibility. It's like, instead of just shooting for the top of Google search, it's about your entire brand's presence out there.
Exactly. Think of it as not just winning a race, but making sure everyone notices your style while you're running. It's super cool because your brand becomes more than just a logo or a product. It's the whole vibe that people get when they see or think about your business.
That's such a great point. It reminds me of something funny, actually. Remember when we were kids and branding seemed like it was just about having a catchy commercial jingle?
Oh, totally. I still catch myself humming some of those tunes out of nowhere. But here's the deal. It's got me thinking. With Easter coming up in a few weeks, brands are probably ramping up to get their visibility on point.
Oh, definitely. You know, Easter-themed campaigns can be a big hit. Plus, with summer around the corner too, those seasonal strategies for e-com stores are essential. Think about it. Everyone's already planning their summer vacation, so it's a prime time to get those brands in sight.
Absolutely, a game changer for sure. Imagine you're planning a summer getaway, and everywhere you look, there's this one brand that just keeps popping up with super enticing summer gear or travel essentials. I mean, that sticks with you, right?
Exactly, it really does. But here's what I'm wondering, with all this focus on visibility, are we risking the substance? Like, if everyone's trying to be seen, does the quality of what they're providing take a back seat?
Ah, the eternal marketer's dilemma. I think it's all about balance. True brand visibility isn't just about being seen. It should be rooted in genuinely good products and authentic engagement.
You're right. And speaking of authenticity, do you think this shifts how companies should approach their branding over the longer term? Not just visually, but in terms of values and customer relationships?
For sure, Rachel, it's like having a good backbone. Your brand needs to stand for something beyond the shelf. It's about creating that meaningful connection, which makes people not just buy your product, but buy into your brand.
Ah, I love that, Max. It's not just selling, it's about telling a story and being part of your customers' lives in a way that feels natural and enriching.
Couldn't agree more. And folks, that's why focusing on your brand visibility should be like gearing up for a long, rewarding journey rather than just sprinting to the next big sale.
Wisely put, as always, Max. So, for all our listeners tuning in, it's time to think bigger, broaden your brand's horizon, and really shine across all platforms.
Couldn't have said it better myself. So stay tuned, keep rocking your brand, and make every interaction count. Hey, Rachel, you won't believe the goodies that just dropped in the world of e-commerce tools. It's like they knew we needed some shiny new toys for the upcoming Easter and summer campaigns.
Max, you always get so hyped about these updates. But honestly, I'm all ears, especially with Easter right around the corner. What's on the list that's got you so excited?
Well, one of the game changers this time around is a tool that automates personalized product recommendations based on user behavior. Think about it like this. Imagine if your browser could read your mind about what Easter gifts you need. And then, bam, it suggests the perfect basket stuffers for your family.
That's super smart, and just in time, too. I was just thinking about how overwhelming it can be to pick the right gifts. But here's what I'm wondering, how does it handle privacy? People get a bit twitchy about browsers knowing too much.
Great point. From what I've seen, the tool uses general data trends rather than personal info. So it's like guessing what you might like based on what's popular out there, not by creeping through your personal emails or anything.
Okay, that's a relief. And honestly, makes it sound even better. It could really boost sales during those big seasonal pushes like our upcoming summer campaigns. Retailers could see a whole new level of engagement.
Exactly. And, oh, speaking of engagement, another tool that's making waves is this AR try-on feature for stores. Say you're browsing online for summer sunglasses. This tool lets you virtually try them on right from your phone or computer. It's pretty wild.
No way. So you're telling me I can see how I look in those trendy oversized sunglasses without leaving my couch? That's a game changer for sure.
Totally. And it's not just cool, it's super practical. It's all about giving customers that in-store experience, even while they're online. It could really cut down on returns too, since people will know exactly what they're buying.
I see your point, but I'm not entirely convinced. I mean, does it actually work well? Sometimes these things are more gimmicky than useful, you know?
Ah, the skeptic speaks. Honestly, it's still early days, but initial reviews are promising. They've really put effort into making the tech precise and user-friendly.
Well, if it does what it says, I can see a lot of happy campers this summer. Plus, think of the Instagram posts with those virtual try-ons. Instant buzz.
You nailed it. And speaking of summer, you've got me now thinking about those long beach days. But back to e-commerce. Any particular tool you're hoping to see updated next?
I'd love something that simplifies shipping options, like telling you the best pick in terms of cost and speed without needing to do 10 calculations yourself.
Now that would be sweet. Shipping logistics are definitely more trick or treat than treat.
Only you would turn shipping challenges into a Halloween joke, Max.
Guilty as charged. But hey, that's a wrap on today's Tech Talk. I can't wait to put some of these tools to the test. Maybe they'll even help me pick a winning Easter egg design, huh?
I wouldn't be surprised. All right, let's keep an eye on how these roll out. High hopes for smoother shopping experiences ahead.
Hey folks, you're tuned into the pulse of digital commerce. And guess what's buzzing this week? Shopify is making moves. Did you catch that they're shifting from the NYSE to NASDAQ, Rachel?
I did see that, Max. I mean, it's a big deal, right? NASDAQ is known for being the home to tech giants, but here's what I'm wondering. Why the sudden move? What's in it for Shopify?
Excellent question. So, it's like moving into a neighborhood that totally fits your vibe. For Shopify, being on NASDAQ puts them alongside other tech powerhouses, which could attract more tech-savvy investors. And let's not forget, the stock actually popped 8% on the news.
No way, that's pretty impressive. Now, speaking of making things pop, Shopify isn't just about stock markets. They've been all about beefing up their offerings, too. Did you hear about their new partnership with Bitrise?
Oh, totally. That's a game changer for mobile development. It's like giving a supercharger to your old reliable car. Bitrise will help Shopify speed up app builds and expand app capabilities. Super cool for devs looking to push updates faster.
Honestly, that's so needed, especially with Easter coming up. Retailers must be scrambling to get their seasonal campaigns polished.
Exactly. And with summer just around the corner too, it's the perfect time to streamline those updates. Speaking of which, there's the BWS Content Scheduler that's now simplifying how content is handled on Shopify, ditching those tedious manual updates.
I was just thinking about how much of a headache that could be. Imagine trying to manually manage all those summer promotions and Easter deals. The scheduler is like having an extra set of hands.
You got that right. And for our folks out there running their own Shopify stores, gearing up for these big selling seasons with the right tools can make or break your game.
Absolutely, but let's not forget the analytics side of things. Shopify is leaning hard into enhancing how businesses understand consumer behavior. There's the new retail pricing analytics and other AI tools they're rolling out.
Right, it's like having a crystal ball, but instead of vague predictions, it gives you data-backed insights. Super useful when you're trying to figure out the best price point or stock the right amount of bunny chocolates.
Bunny chocolates? Now you're making me wish Easter was tomorrow? But here's what I'm curious about. With all these tools and advancements, do you think Shopify can actually hit that $500 billion club they're eyed for?
It's definitely within reach, I'd say. Their pace is relentless, and with the stock market cheering them on, it's adding fuel to that rocket.
The journey's going to be one to watch. Whether you're a developer, a retailer, or just someone curious about e-commerce, Shopify seems like it's not just riding the wave, they're making their own waves.
Couldn't have said it better myself, Rachel. Whether it's Easter eggs or summer sun, Shopify is making sure businesses aren't caught off guard.
And neither will our listeners, not if we have anything to say about it. More updates coming your way, folks. Stay tuned.
Wow, Rachel, I can't believe we've already wrapped up our 13th episode this year. Thanks for hanging out with us today, everyone. I hope we've given your checkout strategies a little seasonal sparkle.
Absolutely, Max. And speaking of seasons, with Easter just a hop, skip, and a jump away, and summer peeking around the corner, it's the perfect time to start planning those sunny campaigns for your e-com stores. Make sure you're staying ahead.
And if you dove into today's discussions, from checkout UX best practices for 2025 to Shopify's latest moves, you know there's plenty to think about. Rachel, what was your favorite takeaway from today?
I really loved our chat about the buy now, pay later trend. It's fascinating to see how these options are transforming shopping habits. Plus, discussing how to navigate spring sales without getting swept away by every discount was super practical. How about you, Max?
For me, it has to be the new US regulations on e-commerce accountability. Makes you think about how small details can have big impacts, right? Plus, I'm already brainstorming some terrible jokes about regulation for next week. So everyone better tune in.
Oh no, everybody, brace yourselves. But jokes aside, if you enjoyed today's episode, we'd love it if you joined us again next week for more e-commerce insights. Remember, you can always find more resources over at blicket.co to keep you at the top of your game.
That's right. It's been a blast chatting with you all. Make sure you don't miss out on all the fun next week. Bring your coffee, bring your notepad, but please, leave your bad jokes to me.
Fair enough, Max. Thank you all for tuning in. We hope today's discussions spark some ideas and inspire your next big moves in e-commerce. Stay curious, stay prepared, and keep reaching for those horizons. See you next week.
Catch you all later. Until then, keep your carts full and your spirits high.